Does your mind ever feel like rush hour traffic with no exit ramp in sight? What if one ancient habit could turn every red light inside your head to green? Welcome to a lesson in lucidity. In a century that bombards us with updates, advertisements, and opinions before we even finish breakfast, the rarest luxury is not money or time, it is mental space. Clear thinking has become a form of modern alchemy, turning distraction into insight and overwhelm into decisive calm. Fortunately, we are not the first people to struggle with noise. 2,000 years ago, the Stoics walked crowded marketplaces, ruled turbulent empires, and still managed to cultivate mindscapes of astonishing clarity. If this is your first visit, consider it your official invitation to a quieter, stronger mind. Hit that bell, subscribe, but above all, promise yourself you will stay to the final word. Endurance is the first proof of seriousness. 1. Embrace the power of stillness. Imagine standing in the middle of a bustling train station. Trains roar, tannoys crackle, travelers hurry past. Now imagine stepping into the small glass booth of the signal operator. Thick doors slide shut. Outside noise dims, and you can finally see every track clearly. That booth is stillness. You do not need meditation marathons or Himalayan silence. A single intentional breath can be the sliding door that seals out chaos. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can a person find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." Every dawn offers you that retreat. Free of charge, sit, close your eyes, feel the tide of air entering and leaving the harbor of your lungs. Thoughts will jostle like traders at the gate, let them pass. In 60 seconds you will notice a clearing, a gap wide enough for one true thought to appear. That thought, unmixed with panic or advertisement, will steer the next hour with far greater accuracy than a dozen anxious guesses. Stillness is not the absence of action, it is the mother of deliberate action. When you start from silence, every step that follows sounds like intention instead of accident. 2. Question your assumptions. Most people inherit their worldview the way they inherit old furniture. They live around it. Dust it occasionally, rarely ask whether it suits the life they have now. Seneca warned, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Often that imagination is built from assumptions accepted in childhood, reinforced by random headlines, and never audited. Today becomes your first audit. Take any belief. I am no good with money. People cannot be trusted. I need coffee to wake up, and hold it up to Socratic light. Where did it originate? Which moments in your adult life genuinely confirm it? And which contradict it? Curiosity, not cynicism, drives this investigation. You are not tearing down the house. You are checking for termites before they weaken the beams. When you question assumptions, 2 miracles occur. First, fear loses its costume and reveals the ordinary person underneath. Second, possibility widens. A belief examined is a belief that can evolve. Clear thinking flourishes in that evolving space. 3. Focus on what you can control. Life is a storm of externals. Economies wobble. Weather shifts. Friends misunderstand. Algorithms change overnight. If clarity depended on those forces aligning, we would never enjoy a single lucid moment. Epictetus hands us the antidote. We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. Bring your attention back from the planet to the pilot seat of your own decisions. You cannot calm global markets, but you can decide how much news you consume before breakfast. You cannot force colleagues to agree, but you can choose the tone of your reply. Each morning, list 3 spheres you govern completely: your breathing pattern, your willingness to learn, your standard of kindness. During the day, when chaos knocks, review the list like a captain verifying instruments in rough seas. Paradoxically, focusing on the controllable enlarges your influence over time. People trust a steady voice. Opportunities visit the calm. Clear thinking is magnetic. It attracts the very resources that frantic compensation never could. 4. Seek simplicity. In an age where everything can be customized, complexity masquerades as abundance, yet complexity taxes cognitive bandwidth. Marcus reminded himself, very little is needed to make a happy life. Apply that to today's digital sprawl, the 37 open browser tabs, the closet stuffed with clothes that rarely see daylight, the calendar swollen with half-hearted commitments. Each item murmurs for attention, and together they roar. Spend 10 minutes decluttering one corner, your desk, your desktop, your afternoon schedule. Notice how the newly empty space feels like a window opening inside your skull. Simplicity is not poverty, it is permission to focus. When fewer variables compete, patterns appear, and clear thinking becomes the default rather than the struggle. 5. Cultivate a growth mindset. Clarity thrives on movement, not stagnation. If you believe your intelligence is a fixed container, every mistake feels like a crack. Switch metaphors. Think of your mind as clay, warmed by curiosity, shaped by practice. Seneca urged, as long as you live, keep learning how to live. Adopt that as a daily motto. When you face a problem, replace the sigh of, I can't, with the question, how can I with training? Note the difference in mental weather. One statement freezes possibility, the other thaws it. Track each incremental improvement, an awkward first draft becoming a competent article. A timid greeting evolving into confident dialogue. The record of growth becomes evidence against future self-doubt, reinforcing clarity in moments of challenge. 6. Practice active listening. Finally, remember that thinking clearly does not happen in solitude alone. Much of our intellectual fog arises because we misunderstand others and therefore the world. Marcus Aurelius observed, everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Active listening is how we sift opinion from usable data. When someone speaks, imagine their words forming shapes of colored smoke. Watch without rushing to disperse or label them. Ask one clarifying question before offering an answer. Listen for emotion beneath assertion. This practice slows conversation just enough for nuance to emerge. With nuance comes better judgment, and with better judgment comes clarity that lasts beyond the conversation. These 6 Stoic lessons are not antiques for admiration, they are tools. Stillness is the whetstone, questioning the handle, focus the blade, simplicity the sheath, growth mindset the sharpening ritual, and listening the art of use. Begin tomorrow morning by selecting just one tool and applying it for 15 conscious minutes. In a week you will notice less chatter in the mind. In a month you will make decisions faster and sleep deeper. Over a lifetime you will prove Marcus right. The truest retreat lives within. If even one insight here resonated, honor that clarity. Press like, share your own experience in the comments, and subscribe so we can continue this pursuit together. For now, close your eyes, draw a steady breath, and feel the lattice of thoughts rearrange into quiet order. That sensation is not accidental, it is the beginning of mastery. Intention is the invisible rudder that keeps your life from spinning in circles. Start each dawn by choosing, deliberately, the quality you wish to embody. You might decide to be patient when the meeting drags, courageous when the budget shrinks, or compassionate when someone snaps. Hold that single word in your mind like a lit candle. Whenever the wind of circumstance tries to blow it out, shield the flame with awareness. This practice will not make obstacles vanish, but it will remind you that you are steering, not drifting. Yet clarity requires more than intention. It needs a landscape uncluttered enough for intention to be seen. That is why the Stoics urge us to seek simplicity. In an era where every app clamors for one more notification and every store aisle groans under infinite choice, simplicity is both rebellion and relief. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life." He did not mean that life should be sparse and colorless. He meant that happiness is eclipsed when the essential is buried beneath the trivial. So clear a corner of your desk until it feels like free space instead of storage. Prune your calendar by asking, does this commitment serve my highest values or only my vanity? Reduce the number of voices in your newsfeed until you can actually hear your own. Each act of subtraction sharpens perception. Soon you will notice that the mind, like a room, brightens the moment you open a window and carry out unnecessary furniture. Simplicity, however, is not stagnation. Once you have carved away clutter, you will face the blank marble of possibility. What you sculpt on that marble depends on a growth mindset, the conviction that skills and insight expand with effort. Seneca's timeless challenge rings out, as long as you live, keep learning how to live. Instead of declaring, I'm just not good at public speaking, treat every presentation as an experiment in courage. Instead of sulking over a failed project, dissect it like a scientist hunting for patterns. Mistakes, under this light, transform from bruises into blueprints. While you grow, remember that wisdom is rarely born in isolation. Active listening may be the most underrated clarity tool of all, because it forces the ego to step aside and let reality speak. In conversation, suspend your urge to rehearse rebuttals. Imagine the other person's words as birds landing on an outstretched palm, fragile, easily startled. Attend to tone and pauses as much as syllables. They reveal the emotions that grammar obscures. Marcus Aurelius cautioned that everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. By listening fully, you upgrade opinions into understanding. Notice how these practices braid together. Intention gives direction. Simplicity removes friction. A growth mindset fuels momentum. Active listening refines navigation. Together they create a mindset sturdy enough to face what the Stoics called the slings and arrows of fortune, economic downturns, broken appliances, sudden praise, sudden blame, without losing equilibrium. But philosophy must graduate into practice, or it congeals into trivia. So let us finish with a brief, concrete ritual you can adopt tomorrow morning. 1. Sit upright before your phone unlocks. Breathe 3 times and name your intention aloud. 2. Scan your schedule and delete one non-essential task. Reclaim that hour for deep work or genuine rest. 3. Identify one area where you feel stuck. Reframe it with the phrase, I can improve here if I train. Write a single action that constitutes training. 4. During your first human interaction of the day, whether barista, child, or colleague, listen until the other person finishes their final sentence. Pause for one silent heartbeat before you reply. The entire sequence takes less time than waiting in a drive-thru. Yet it will tilt the rest of the day toward lucidity. And when storms inevitably gather, when a project collapses, a friend misunderstands you, or the nightly news rattles your composure, return once more to amor fati. The Stoics' fearless love of fate. Do not merely tolerate the unexpected, greet it like an unplanned mentor. Ask, what lesson hides inside this setback? And how will it carve my character sharper? In that question, panic downsizes into puzzle, and clarity re-emerges with fresh edges. If doubt whispers, but I am only one person in a vast, complicated world, recall that every empire, invention, and movement began inside a single skull that refused to stay muddy. Your thoughts shape your words guide your actions ripple outward into families, teams, perhaps nations. Clear thinking, therefore, is not a private luxury. It is a civic duty. Each mind refined is a lighthouse added to the coastline of collective decision-making. So tomorrow at sunrise, when the chorus of obligations starts its familiar chant, remember you have already chosen your note. Sing it strong, sing it simple, let it harmonize with growth and echo through attentive ears. Then watch how even the busiest day arranges itself around the music of a mind that knows exactly what it intends to be. If these words have sparked even a tiny clearing in your mental weather, honor that spark, click like, subscribe, ring the bell, and share one intention you will carry into tomorrow, or simply write, "I think clearly." Your sentence might be the beacon another traveler needs. Remember, clear thinking is not a destination but a direction. We walk it together, step by intentional step, stripping away excess, embracing growth, listening for truth, and meeting every twist in the path with eyes open and heart steady. The journey is long, but clarity is a companion that never runs out of light.